Welcome to my channel. So this is my second Valkyrie drawing finally being painted. Also, I'm including timestamps in the description for this video since it's longer. So I printed out the image onto 11 by 17 paper, then I just transferred it via a Lightbox onto cold press paper. Originally, I really kind of wanted to do this on hot press, but I didn't have paper big enough. I just like it when it's smoother. The paper itself when it has a smoother texture, but oh well. It is what it is. At least I'm working on a much larger scale than I think originally when I was doing ink drawings. Yeah. I didn't include the actual digital time lapse in this video since I realized I filmed in 4K. The time lapse is from my iPad and it's obviously much smaller resolution. And plus I posted it on Instagram and as a YouTube short, so go check it out if you just want to see like a quick time lapse of the digital inking video. So I had started the sketch for this image actually a while back, maybe a few months ago, along with my Nightwing sketch. So to clarify, I keep calling them Valkyries, but they are inspired by a mix between Valkyries and Amazonians, and yes, mostly inspiration from Wonder Woman comics and, to be specific. It just seemed fun to make my own little kind of spin on them, so that's kind of the context of these characters. That felt like a frustrating time sink, essentially. I mean, it was still kind of like a fun challenge switching to acrylic paints and everything. It's just, you know, when the timing is kind of off and then like if you don't win and you don't get out the prizes and everything and you kind of like almost regret it all just because of the fact that you kind of missed out on other artworks you kind of really were in your more of your comfort zone and you most enjoyed doing. Like this is also definitely still like a challenge to me, I guess, but different because I've been using ink and watercolor quite frequently versus like acrylics I hadn't picked up in years. So yeah, that was the reason why I hadn't actually finished the second one compared to like the first one, and I even completely changed up the style and everything I was going for this one. And yeah. Yeah, it's just I hated losing momentum for a particular set of artworks just because in that moment in time I felt like I was really on a roll. I mean, I have created plenty of artworks since then. I think it's just leaving several artworks as work in progress that got me. I mean, I know artists probably have lots of works in progress, but it's also how many artists actually go back and finish a work in progress from months ago or a while. So shockingly, I was happy I did go back to them. But then let's be honest, I think it's mostly because I wasn't sure what to make a video on and didn't know what to draw. So here we are. Although, you know, that's not a terrible thing that the video was kind of like forcing me to go back to, work in progress that was fairly complete, like in terms of the line art, like the character itself was done. And, you know, it was nice to just not abandon a drawing that was actually pretty good that could be finished. So for the process, I went from a rough sketch to digital. Now, I always like to still have somewhat of the pose established traditionally before I do the digital work. I don't know what it is, but I have an easier time just establishing a rough pose traditionally. Like if I'm gonna start any kind of drawing, even if it's going to be final digital, I find it just ends up more accurate for myself. So for inking, I had thought that I would ink the character in with black ink and then the background elements with colored ink. I'd even diluted the colored inks with water a bit just because they're very intense pigmented inks. I really like the Liquitex inks. The only thing is, because I was doing it all with a brush, just a brush. It kind of got a bit thicker lines. Like some of the lines turned out much thicker than I'd kind of wanted them to. And then I guess in the future you'll see me like editing and trying to thicken up the lines for the character just so it balances it out, because I think in the end it needed it. I decided to start painting the background sky first, since I debated how to paint the background in general. I did have like a digital color study I did, but I wasn't really liking the way it was turning out. So I decided just to slightly like go with the flow with like watercolor, just because like coloring digitally and coloring watercolor are two vastly different things, and sometimes it's kind of really hard to nail it because you can't get that quite graphical look like you would if you did maybe with acrylic gouache or just gouache, the opacity type of thing. So I went with just one color and let the shine effects just be white, and that's probably my most favorite part about this entire painting, just how I did that part. Next, I move on to start painting the character. I already had a color palette in mind, a complementary yellow and purple outfit. The face I had a weird time with, which annoyed me since lately I felt like I enjoyed painting faces, and even quick studies for similar, simple, small ones turned out fine. So this one, the way it ended up was okay, but I've done way better just in 2-minute studies or something. It's I don't know if maybe it's just because I do it with a different type of paper, so I'm used to one flow. That's the tricky thing about watercolor, where it kind of will just behave the way it behaves, so you kind of have to let it go and work with it more. So I think I just worked with it less this time around and didn't quite get the results I wanted. I love the color Rose of Ultramarine, so painting this outfit was so satisfying. It's just a fun color, and I guess the outfit palette maybe comes off a little too regal, but let's just say she's more royal, or that's just her personality. She likes to be regal. It's cool. I was pretty set on painting those clouds pink, and wow, okay, I kept going back and forth with whether I hated it or not, like cotton candy maybe. Something, again, I weirdly just liked in the end. If I ever do a paint this again, I probably might just take out at least the bottom one. I think the bottom whooshy cloud thing bugs me now, but I still don't hate it. I still kind of like it, but I feel like maybe it would be a hot take and others might hate it more. I don't know. It's, yeah, it is what it is. Next, I knew I was going to go very simply and light on the tree line and temples in the background. I was going for a softer, more graphic background this time around. I mean, the first Valkyrie I ever painted is just, it doesn't even have any line art to it. It was just straight up like character painting, only I had actually no strategy for the background. It just turned out to be like kind of like the clouds, and it was a bit of a mess. It was like a cloudy just sky. And so I'm much more happier this time around with the background selection. Once I was finished with the background, I sort of kept going back and forth with my thoughts. I decided because I went the more graphic route, I really needed to thicken and clean the black outlines of the character. It did turn out quite fuzzy and not quite defined in places, and seeing as this wasn't some very realistic shaded image, I should really lean into what I was going for. I think my problem before has always been just to not push enough in fear of ruining it. But in all honesty, better to push it and at least try to get it to the next level versus just finishing a very wishy-washy, feeling half-done image and regretting that I didn't actually push it and just, ruin it in another way. Not that I believe I ruined it, but yeah. Now, both my camera and phone died twice around the same time, so I have some missing footage here or there of a few brush strokes. But thankfully, I got most of the footage. I had at the last moment, not caught on camera. It's me hitting the bottom wishy cloud disaster and adding some more lines to define it more. Like in my head originally I had one idea, but to be honest I'm not sure what that idea was. I felt like there needed to be a little bit more detail just because it felt too much of like a weird blank solid color space that just didn't really seem to vibe with me, and it felt like it needed something, some kind of element. So overall thought is I am really happy to finally complete this. If anyone else thinks the background is weird, totally understandable. Like, hit me up in comments, give critique. You know, if I do draw this again, it will be of this image, like I said, removing that bottom squiggly bit, because I feel like maybe it was the biggest problem is maybe it's too much and it should have been more broken up too at the bottom like it was at the top. That's I don't know, what does everybody else think? Thanks for watching.